talking about.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you were saying about the government kind of forcing companies to put solutions in place. I
Hmm.
believe they just Biden just signed something into place. I haven't gotten a
Yes.
chance to kind of look into it, but
You mean the infrastructure
ultimately,
bill?
huh?
The infrastructure bill?
I think it was tied into
Yeah.
the infrastructure bill,
Mm-hmm.
but what I ultimately think is going to happen down the line is that because I know this is what's being done in Europe.
Hmm.
They have a list of companies who've been, I think, who are on some kind of potential breach list, and
Yeah,
then
like critical infrastructure.
yeah. So they have a list. If
Hmm.
that company gets hit with some kind of breach, virus, malware, whatever, they're going to compare the company to their list, and then they're going to ultimately find the company. Like, hey, look, you knew you had this, you knew you had some kind of vulnerability in place.
Hmm.
So what I think is going to happen eventually, I don't know when, but I think they're going to start doing that here in the U.S. Like certain companies, if you get breached, you're going to get fined because they're starting to look at people's data as important. It's important. Like it doesn't matter if it's your cell phone number, social security
Hmm.
number. That's all sensitive information. So companies that don't have solution in place, I believe they're gonna kind of sign something into place where they're gonna start getting fined. And
And
these are companies.
I'm glad you mentioned that because this is
Yeah,
something
Yeah.
I've been pointing out for a while because they keep undermining IT professional as if we're not that important that we cannot save them money. That been a
yeah,
long term argument. When I
Yeah.
asked that particular question, have you pick on other your professional people in your career in other companies, even if they oversee, what have they implement? That fall back to what you were talking about just now, because for
Hmm.
one, cybersecurity is not only the money making situation right now we are talking in today, but it's also a vital issue not only for corporation but for regular people alike as well. Because you have all these cyber attacks going on, people taking identity and eluding that. You got to what? How much money you got to spend to clear your name? $500,000, $1 million? Like really?
yeah, man.
Yes. And to answer your question about fellow cybersecurity people, by having a YouTube channel, I've been speaking to a lot of people. I worked with people in Australia, Canada, and some folks in Zambia in Southern Africa. And the one thing that I've seen that is consistent is cybersecurity is being taken seriously by larger organizations, other nation state actors. So you'll notice that it's mostly governments and larger organizations. Smaller companies are finally coming to that realization. But to be honest, they always look at, how much does it really cost us, and can we get away with it? And if they can, they don't actually do it because if they're not that important and they don't think that their risk is high, they usually skip cybersecurity solutions in place, which is really not ideal, especially in this world that we live in, because we know attackers don't discriminate. If they can get on your computer to go to your customers, they will, which is what's happening now.
Exactly. All right, so let's get into your education background.
Mhm.
I see you have CCNP, CEH, Masters, Network Plus. Had my Network Plus. Haven't updated it in so long, so I'm not really worried about getting it again.
Mhm.
CISSP and
Mhm.
your OSCP.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about. I want you to talk about a little bit about the your certifications, and then I want to talk about the OSCP just a little bit more.
Yeah. For me, getting certifications has always been my way to prove my worth. I don't usually go around town crying that, society owes me anything or people look down at me because I'm a certain way. But I've seen that by virtue of just showing up in the industry, looking slightly different. As you can see, I don't have the typical nerd look or feel. I
Mm-hmm.
use these certifications not only to learn a lot of materials so that I can master my craft, but also to prove to people that I'm someone they should take seriously, because I've worked in environments where people don't take you seriously. You show up, they think you don't know what you're talking about. If you have one of the leading industry certifications like the OSCP, which is a 48-hour exam, 24-hour exam, and there's no way around that, it's a way to really prove to people that, hey, I'm here to do good work and I'm a serious person to work with. And they also tend to open a lot of doors, especially for people who otherwise don't come from a typical IT background and they want to
Mm-hmm.
break into IT or cybersecurity.
The OSCP,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that certification pop around, but I've never
Mm-hmm.
gotten a chance to kind of look into it. So can you tell me more about this one?
Yes, the OSCP, that's the Offensive Security Certified Professional. It's a very, very widely respected certification, mostly because it's a hands-on exam. If you're
Mm-hmm.
interested in ethical hacking and breaking into computers, they'll give you machines, say 4 or 6 machines, and give you 24 hours and say, hey, go at it. If you can break into these machines, you gain points, you get flags, and you write a report after that, like a pen testing report. And then you prove that you were actually able to do the work and you never know what you are after. So, because of that, it's a very, very good certification for those who really want to go and learn hands on ethical hacking. Like, if you have
Uh-huh.
never hacked a computer in your life, taking their course would show you the way. And also, it just gives you that confidence that you can show up to a company and look at their systems and look for vulnerabilities and try to exploit them and write a very professional report as well afterwards. So I would say it's a very, very good certification for ethical hacking and offensive security. And if
Yeah.
anyone is ever interested in that field, it's definitely something I recommend.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about your work experience a little bit. You started
Mm-hmm.
at help desk, then you moved up to system admin, network
Mm-hmm.
engineer, and now cybersecurity engineer.
Yeah.
Um, give me give me some horror stories. Like what in your work history? Give me some horror stories, some bad stories, anything. Like talk to me about your work history.
Yeah. I started way at the bottom. I think my path is what most people used to consider to be typical. It doesn't have to be nowadays. People can go straight and work in cybersecurity.
Uh huh.
But working from help desk, I realized that, you know, I struggled a lot. I still have my accent, but my accent used to be thicker than this. And I used to work my very first job in IT answering phone calls. And the moment I answer a phone call, having an accent, people thought they just connected to someone in Africa. So I used to be asked, hey, are you in the United States? Are you in the United States? And I struggled with that a lot. Then once they knew that I was in the United States, people still sometimes didn't believe that I knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And that's why you see that now I have a YouTube channel. I get certifications. I do a YouTube channel where I do hands-on technical stuff and show people what I can do. It's from those days where this constant doubt that I used to get. So help desk is a wonderful place. I still believe that I was very good at the help desk because I like to help people. I like to work with people and individuals. But one thing that burnt me out from that career was mostly what I just described, the phone calls. If it was just in person, I had a good time with that. Um, Moving to system administration, I learned a lot. I was lucky enough that the company that I was working for while I was at help desk, I was getting the CCNA certifications. I was taking any training that I can. When the sysadmin left, I was the next person in line who had some training, official certifications that they could tell that I was trained by an external entity. Then they gave me a chance and I was able to excel at that. Then I moved into network administration just to come full circle. But throughout the whole time, I always knew I wanted to work in cybersecurity because we used to get audited as well. And the auditors will come and they'll ask us questions. They'll do ethical hacking, and I really wanted that, and that's how I ended up pursuing cybersecurity as a career from just seeing what the auditors were doing.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing about help desk is just like hearing your statement about the burnout with the phone calls and things like that. So
Yeah.
I could definitely understand on that. Yeah, we've been there, angry users, and and
I had
people
to
who
I
just
had to
don't.
laugh because Marvel took to ask me the same question. How in the world you got these angry users smiling afterward and laughing with you? Because he be telling me all the other tech was having a hard time. When it comes to me, it's almost as if I know I have some secret ingredient and all the angry I'm talking about irate, angry, they want to curse, they want to throw something at you. They're on my
Mm-hmm.
beck and call. We having fun. We are cool. And I told Marvin there's a trick to it because so many people come up with their ego. All I
Mm-hmm.
did was play a soft-minded, or did a trick I learned over the year. I call it digital butler. It's like going above white glove service. But where I do
Mm-hmm.
that, there's a little comedy that come along with it, a little trick to it. How you speak to people, you have to let them drop their guard. If you can't have them drop their guard with you and throw out everything and then it got to a point it make my job easy. Marvin understand it. Not to
Mm-hmm.
maintain these angry customers looking for someone who they can rely or trust. If they can gain your trust knowing that you dare to help them, they'll tell you everything you know and then some to the point you don't have to ask no more questions. And I explained that
Yes.
to my manager, even to my present job, that the way you can talk to people, you can make them give you way more than enough information you need, and you can pinpoint what the problem is without stretching yourself out so much. It's
Mm.
all about people interaction, all about communication, all about body language, all about understanding the person's thought process. So when you say you had to run out into the language barrier, I'm Nigerian. So imagine how they think about me and my tongue language. Like, oh, your accent's so thick. Like, where are you from? I say I'm from Nigeria. Oh, then the stereotype come to kick in. I don't care about that stereotype. I have to
Yeah.
tell them I'm different from everybody else. I'm sure you went through the same thing that I went through for being an African person in this
Mm.
field. You realize you had to raise the bar much, much higher than everyone else around. I told Marvin this. There are three
Mm.
levels to black people. An African American person that work twice or three times harder. A Caribbean, 4 to 5. But once they know that you're from Africa, you really have to raise it so high. So they can recognize it's you. You're not African, it's you. You know what the hell you're doing. So when you
Exactly.
mention that, I fully grasp, I fully understand why we have to always be on our P's and Q's. We can't just be mediocre. For
Yeah, we
African,
can't. Yeah. No.
there's no space for mediocreness for African people.
Mm-mm.
So Marvin, as you hear from Howard, now you understand what I say.
We have to be
We
good. That's just it.
Yeah, I know, but that's the thing though. If you compare us to our white counterparts, it's like sometimes I wonder. It's like why do we have to kind of continuous to work twice as hard? I've seen sloppy system admins who are
Mm-hmm.
Caucasians, but they never get fired or they never get reprimanded. But it's always us uh, who have to work 3 times as hard, 4 times as hard. I get it. Yeah, it's in our nature. We show up, we
Mm-hmm.
have the certifications, but respect us that we show up. You know, don't try to kill us with some imaginary bar that keeps moving every time we hit that bar. You know what I'm saying? So
I get. Yeah. The moving targets. Yeah, I've seen
exactly,
those too. Yeah.
exactly. So,
and
but
I got used to it. I got used to it, but the thing is, as African, what our culture taught us is to never give up. Dig your feet as deep as possible and let nobody move you. He from
Mm-hmm.
Zimbabwe. I'm from Nigeria. Doesn't matter where we're from. In Africa, we all have that same mindset. We have to prove we are the best of the best of the best. Being second or third best is not enough.
We're not just getting by. We're not a token black employee to meet some quotas for HR. We are here to do real good work. And I think if you speak to the people that I've worked with before, I mean, I don't with your team at work. You don't say, "Hey, I'm here to do this." You just do it, and that's what I've seen that works. You just show up. make sure that if mistakes happen once in a while, you make
Hmm.
mistakes, but you're on top of your game. You are there to really perform at the highest levels that the company expects, and
Yeah,
they end up like a Target. I got promoted to be a senior engineer after almost like 2 years, which was with a little faster than before because that was my very first like engineering job that I
yeah,
had
yeah.
from coming from network administration and stuff like that. So yeah.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I know, but we had an episode, me and Live had an episode about burnout, and
Mm-hmm.
I think having that constant drive that we all have, it
Mm-hmm.
does lead to us kind of mentally getting burnt out sometimes. So
Yeah,
it is what it is. We show up, we do the work. You know, I rather prove to myself that I'm able to do the work than to prove to somebody else like I could do
exactly.
the work just as good as they do. So
And that
it's
and Marvin, you're correct. But
yeah,
that's the same thing I carry when you watch me work. Marvin would work with me. We had this one
Mm-hmm.
huge project, and the biggest problem I always do, I put myself far beyond my limit to the point whereby people think I lost my mind. Literally,
yeah. I had
I'm gonna
to
tell you.
tell them to stop. Like, dude, you you're not building the company and minding QCs at the same time. Like
Yeah.
we're here to do the work. Like you're doing too much sometimes. So, but
But the thing is, here's the problem, Marvin. We are Africans. You see yourself in that company we work together. They're looking down on us on the worst way possible. So we either fight against the imaginary bar, or we fall in the tug of, oh, you're not working hard enough. You need to fire you. That is our stigma as being African IT professionals in
mhm,
today's market. It's not going to go away as long we're working under the European corporation. I can't say white, but more so on a European mindset. It's not going to change. This is why you
mhm,
saw me burn myself out to the extreme level because it's never enough. I can work a little hard and they'll say I'm lazy. But I'm doing the same thing as my white counterpart or my Caucasian counterpart, but they're hardworking. But me doing the same with them, it's not hardworking. I'm being
mhm,
lazy. So this is why when you see me come in from top to bottom, everything I have here on my feet, I'm not perfect, but it's almost like you working to be perfect in everything. You can't make too much mistake because if you make too many mistakes, they're quick to point it out. But for our Caucasian counterpart, they're not going to point it out as much as they point out our mistakes.
mhm,
So he probably understand where I'm coming from. When we come in, we're not doing this. We're doing it and let our work speak for itself. When our work speaks for itself, then that's when they start to recognize that, oh, you're different. If
Yeah,
you
it's
don't
almost
do
like
that,
you end up becoming this. It's like a 360, right? They think you show up, you might be in a different category. Then after a while, you end up in another one. But the one thing that I found out is that as long as we do quality work and we produce good results, and you also have the credentials, like these certifications and other things to actually back what you have. Not
yeah,
only does that provide stability for your career, just in case your current employer goes out of business, you can get a newer job faster too, because you not only do you have the good experience, but you have the papers to prove that you have it. And for me, as someone without a computer science degree, I've always felt like these certifications and my knowledge and my projects and things that I can speak to are all I have. I mean, I can go and get a computer science degree tomorrow, but with the knowledge that we have and also the certifications, the real valuable, appropriate certifications can be very helpful, especially if you have to find a new job. You don't want to end
mhm,
up being on the market for 6 months because you're missing some gaps somewhere, which
yeah,
is
yeah,
not ideal.
I think you have to do an episode certification versus degree, which is more valuable because I've noticed, just like Howard said, when you have that certification, you can go anywhere. It doesn't matter if you be in the US. You can apply for a job in the UK and they like what you're seeing, offer you more money. You're like, okay, I'm going to the UK. Or,
Mm.
okay, I'm going to France because it seemed to me the degree system is, have not been properly updated for more than a decade and a half.
Yeah, they've not been standardized too. So a
Yeah.
degree from New York University and one from University of Minnesota, it says cybersecurity or IT. If you look at the curriculum, completely different, and so you're not getting the same person with a degree. But the certifications, at least, especially the cybersecurity ones, they're very, very specific, and they'll give you specific knowledge. Uh,
Plus,
some
they
of them,
update
not all of
and the
them.
updated certification is more up to date than the degree. That I think that's the biggest problem because
Mm.
I went on other panel and we had this conversation about certification versus degree, and I tell you, you're better off getting certification because not only it's up to date, it's on point. It matches
Mm.
what's going on in today's market. The problem with degrees, with you have people taking out from a student loan from 20 to 100 grand.
Oh, yeah.
You can't even utilize that same degree to get the job you're looking for. Now they're trying to convert certification to degrees as well, but if you're not catching up to date with the market standards, it with CompTIA or with Microsoft or all the other market standard, then the degree is almost useless.
Yeah, that's why I've always been a big proponent of, I see certifications and degrees as tools to get me hired so I can provide for my family if I lost my
Mhm.
job, to get me promotions. I don't see them as a means to gain knowledge. I mean, you can gain knowledge most of the time if you get a job. If you're just lucky enough to get a job and you do good work, you get a lot of knowledge there. I also do a lot of home labs. Like, I believe in, if I'm curious about something and I can do it at work,
Yeah.
I spin up myself. I'll do my own experiments. Sometimes I'll get carried away and go on a tangent. But I think that's part of the growing and learning. And those things really become invaluable. And after a certain amount of experience in the industry, the papers will get you through maybe, pay scale cuts. Certain companies say, if you don't have a 4-year degree, we can't put you in this pay range. So I'm lucky that I have a 4-year degree, but
Yeah.
I know friends who work in cybersecurity who can get to certain companies because those companies have these draconian rules that say you need to have a 4-year degree for us to pay you $120,000 or something silly like that. But they're just tools at the end of the day. They don't really mean that you know what you're doing either. The
Yeah.
experience from work really counts the most, to be honest. So people like yourself with 20 plus experience in the industry, that's what people are looking for. That's what gets a lot of people to respect you more, especially if they know that you have done and you've been exposed to things over the
Yeah.
past years.
And definitely having your home lab. So whatever you want to work on, you have
Mm-hmm.
those tools available to develop your skills. So
Mm-hmm.
I tell everybody in the IT field I come across, like,
Mm-hmm.
spend the time to, or set some money aside to set up your home lab, two, three
Mm-hmm.
laptops, nothing expensive,
Yeah,
and just have your tools ready. Just try new things, try different things.
exactly. Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about the pros and cons of your career and your current position. Well, what do you feel is the pros and cons?
I find the pros to be, I think I chose the correct career because this is going to keep me busy for a long time. I don't think I see myself like retiring and forgetting my work because I
Hmm.
find a lot of excitement. I go to work, I'm always looking forward to, okay, what bad things are about to happen? What can I find? Or how can I break into these systems? Especially in a couple of weeks here, I'll be joining a red team where I'll be doing simulated attacks like the bad people. That stuff really at this time in my life is very exciting. So the
Nice.
pros are I get to do things that I'll otherwise be doing if I wasn't working, which is a really good thing. Like, I mean, think of getting paid to break into computers, to think like a bad person, to literally hack things, which is something that I really enjoy. So that's a very big pro. Um, the cons, like you mentioned, I think you said, the burnout. If you're not careful, if you are really not taking care of yourself, if you get
Exactly.
too carried away, you might be away from your family because you're so like, hey, I need to learn how to hack. It's a very, very fine line between, us keeping our skills and enjoying the work. but also being intentional about, letting go, taking a break from this computer stuff. Because at least for me, I like it so much that if it were up to me, I'll just be doing it all the time. So the con is, if we're not careful, not only can we alienate those around us, but also we end up burning ourselves out of the industry, which is not ideal. So that's something that I've been very conscious of, and making sure that I take care of myself and be there for my family before spending too much time in this stuff.
Yeah, true, true. That's I've seen a lot of IT people burn themselves out
Mm,
just to the point where they just can't. They're not even marketable anymore. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
And there's
that's
some actually quitting the IT from where they say they gave up on them because I've met people who just, how would I put it? They were fed up with the IT. They know what? I'm going to change my job. I'll be a truck driver or I'll be a garbage man. It's like
Mm,
sometimes they get to a particular brick wall. They feel like they're not being appreciated enough. I think that is what the biggest problem in the IT. We having too much fluctuation of people from overseas who are headhunters trying
mm.
to lowball the standard of what certain professions supposed to make and make it seem like you're not that important. I think that's what we have an issue because I remember I talked to Marvin when I bumped into him in that same building, and he mentioned some of these lawyers feel like IT professionals are not much important people, but yet we are the backbone of the
Hmm.
world today. Without us, who will keep things running?
exactly
We,
Exactly.
we
Yeah.
don't we don't even have a union. That's what drives me nuts. Of
You,
all
you
the
want to be part
trade
of a
professions,
union?
we don't even have a union. We need one, but we don't have one. New reporter have union. Newscaster got union.
Mm.
Construction worker got union. The nurse got union. The police got union, but we don't have union. Like
I
what's up
think
with
over the
that?
past couple of years, especially with the need for digital assets and things like that, IT as a career has been really been put on the spotlight, and we're actually getting more attention than we used to. Because
Mhm.
we keep the world running right now. Everything is runs on computers.
Exactly.
We, like, as a system administrator, I remember uh, I was running the entire company by myself. I knew every single server. I knew every employee that was joining, and without me, or if I had made a mistake, the company can lose money just like that from a simple mistake that I made. But of course, the view has always been, oh, you're an expense. People in the field are the one bringing money in. There is no money tied to you as an IT person. In the view, I think is changing and things are getting better. That's what I think on that, and I'm hopeful that at
I
least the
would say
appreciation will be
I
better.
believe you on that. I think here's the
Mm,
problem with this today's situation we are in.
mm,
There is a paradox about to hit hard where you notice it. I'm not sure Marvin noticed it well. Whatever company you're working in, they hire more IT professionals than usual. But
mm.
the mistake they're making is that majority of us are working from home. Majority of us don't have an office space.
Mm.
The majority of us cannot come back into the office. So this pandemic threw a unique monkey wrench that only a few companies understood what can be done. And they made it clear
Mm.
not everybody need to come to the office, not everybody need to be at home, not everybody to be remote. They know who can be remote, who cannot be remote. And they make that crystal clear, but multiple companies, for the sake of want to control the workforce, they fail to
Oh yeah,
realize real estate is not in your favor.
yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. Yeah,
Marvin know that New York City real estate is not a real estate.
Ridiculous.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, but that's the thing. What I love about this I'll say what I love about the pandemic is that it forced a lot of companies to kind of look at, their infrastructure and say, hey, maybe I don't need to pay for this $500,000
Mm.
office. I could run
Yep.
everything in the cloud and still be productive. So that's what it comes down to. Life throws you those monkey wrenches, Just got to be prepared to handle them.
Or hey, they're going on. They go to do a hybrid. You realize
Yeah.
that more you're working from home. So if I know this is something when I had a year ago, and I'm sure it's going to happen. Depend on where the remote workers live at or what the region, they might have to station some tech to be nearby, just in case if remote process not going to work, you can send a tech to that person home to troubleshoot the issue on hand. 'Cause I remember I was working in Estee Lauder, some of our tech was sent home to the executive office in their home to do the troubleshooting, then come back. I remember I
Oh
told
yeah.
Marvin I had to deal with a manager. He got two offices and he have a home office, one in the city, one in Long Island, and one. So I had to build PC for his New York office, for his Long Island office, and for his home office. And I asked him, who going to set up with the home office? He said, oh, we got one of the executive tech will go to the house and do it. I said, okay, fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that also, but I think now it's like they're cutting back on that, like
Mm.
multiple PCs in the environment now. Because one of the things we've done at the firm where I'm at is that they've cut back on those multiple PCs. It's basically either a desktop or a laptop, and they pretty much put their foot down because all of that is pretty much costly. If you look at the license on the back end, you're paying for a license for a PC and then a license for a desktop. So at the end of the day, Microsoft is making their money, but you're paying out of pocket. So yeah,
Microsoft likes that. It's what server cows. That's what they used to call them back in the day.
uh,
Access per user.
yeah.
Per, yeah.
So it's they're looking at they're seeing that they're paying a lot of money for it and it's not really necessary. So it's
Mm.
pretty much like, hey, one laptop per user. It's either a laptop or a desktop. So you
And the
know.
problem with Microsoft, when they saw that change being made, they made another change again for Windows 11. We're going to rob you again.
Yeah.
It is. It
Of
is what
course.
it is. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Come on. You should know that right now. So I like the important conversation because he said it's fun. I think it's fun for him because you're not dealing with much people. You deal with the machines, with the
Hmm.
back end. A lot of people keep telling me there's a protocol based on your position. I like to deal with people. That's my pro. Some people don't like to deal with people. That's their pro. So I'm guessing for Howard, his pro is I don't have to see your face. I just deal with the equipment and the system. I don't have no equipment shouting at me. They listen to me. I give the command. They follow it. They execute. I think that's another undercover pro that people don't talk about.
Yes.
Mhm.
To be honest, it's both a positive and negative. Was I really enjoyed getting to working with people that really had genuine technological issues, and me being there to help troubleshoot and fix them. I found a sense of purpose in that. Then compared to the other side where you're just engineering solutions, you don't get that instant gratification. You have to wait, and maybe 6 months from now, you get feedback that the tool that you worked on so much is working, and sometimes you don't. So it's both ways, and working with people by far and making sure that you communicate these things is one of the most fulfilling things. Because even though we are IT people, finding meaning and treating it as a vocation also kind of helps. Because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, I think that's what we are as people: is we want to really find real meaning in what we do every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the area of IT you're in. So what got you into hacking and cybersecurity? Like, what was that spark that got you into it?
Yeah, I was working at help desk, and I was at a college, and I was working at help desk. A lot of people came with laptops that had viruses. And the first time I saw ransomware, somebody showed up with a laptop that had a screen that said, "Your computer has been hacked. You need to pay Bitcoin." And I saw that note, and I couldn't believe my eyes. Like, I thought it was maybe fake. There was a way for me to get around it. And the more I did the investigation, I found out no. this is actually a real ransomware. It's a real attacker, and there's no way around this unless if they have backups. And that really bothered me a lot. That there's people out there who can have manipulate computers in a way that I didn't understand. So I was just out of curiosity. I wanted to be like one of them. I wanted to know how are they writing that ransomware? How are they delivering it? And I quickly learned that I can't just go and say, hey, I want to write ransomware or I want to deliver ransomware. I needed to know how computers work, networking. I needed to know operating systems, and I needed to know, how to communicate those tools to people, especially when I'm working for a big company. And because of that, that's how I end up, following the path of going through system administration, knowing exactly how people deploy systems and how systems are hardened. Then went through network administration, knowing how a network infrastructure is set up, all the protocols that are involved. And I might have taken too long to move into cybersecurity. I struggled a lot actually to get into cybersecurity. Nobody thought I could. That's how I ended up getting some of the certifications. But
Mhm.
it was mostly out of curiosity. And to be honest, I just didn't like that there were certain people out there who knew something that was so nasty that I had no idea how it works. I wanted to be one of them. I wanted to know what they're doing. And that's what got me into ethical hacking and offensive security.
Nice, nice. Um, like you have a question or?
Based on your answer,
Mm,
and I know that you have a YouTube channel,
mm.
because this is more like connecting to why you're in this area. Why you showcasing your teaching, what was the main purpose of you connecting to the audience through your channel? Were you trying to create an avenue to encourage people to jump to this field because it is something that worth getting into?
My YouTube channel, I started it first as advice from I was reading Daniel Misla's blog, and he said, in order for there's a blog post called "How to Build a Career in Cybersecurity," and one of the things he mentioned was you need to get the basics done, and I had gotten the basics done, and he said the next thing is you need to show people what you know. Just say, hey world, this is what I know, and if you can write a blog post about it, if you can show in a video, it removes the doubt. So you can say my YouTube channel is like two or three main reasons. One is me me before I got into cybersecurity, just showing the world. So when I applied for a job, they say, hey, do you know this? I'll say, yes, I know this. Then after the interview, I'll say, hey, by the way, here's another video where I spend an hour talking about that same topic. So if people had any doubts, they can see me talk about it. They can judge themselves whether or not I know, because most of them are live streams where I'm just like, hey, today we're breaking into a Windows computer. Then the second part, which I actually posted on Reddit a couple of days ago, it really bothers me that I speak to folks mostly from Zambia, Zimbabwe, and South Africa. Companies like EY and other big multinational companies out there, they use certifications as a measure of proficiency. I know as someone who was in Zimbabwe, I could never have afforded $700 for the certified ethical hacker certification. That would have been my teacher's salary maybe for 3 months. So coming to YouTube and saying, hey, you can learn how to do ethical hacking for free on a cheap laptop that was supposed to be thrown away. Just
Mhm.
install a bunch of software and you can be doing that. It doesn't have to be expensive. So sharing that knowledge with people. But what I also found during the process is every Friday, I have 3 or 4 people that I speak to 30 minutes at a time, mostly from the third world countries, saying, hey, I really need to move into this industry, but I don't know where to get started. And if I learn from your videos, people don't believe that I learned anything because I have nothing to show for it. They're almost saying, hey, how can we get these certifications? And sharing that knowledge, especially ethical hacking, is something that I'm passionate about. And to be honest, in the world that we live in, if you are just structured enough, you can learn pretty much anything for free on the internet. And I'm part of that group of people who are trying to deliver that content for free on the internet.
Nice, nice.
Good
Um,
answer. I needed that answer.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm gonna talk about just give you. We're going to touch off subject for a second. Um,
Mm.
what do you see happening in the on the hacker side of cybersecurity? Do you see like a lot of groups getting together and partnering up? Because I saw a presentation a couple of days ago where the
Mm.
presenter is saying that what he believes is like a lot of organizations are structuring like or corporate hacker organizations are structuring like corporations now. You have somebody who's out there looking for the talent. You have the
Mm.
manager. You have the HR person. They're partnering together to create
Mm.
bigger, better viruses and ransomware. Do
Mm.
you do you see that as like happening right now due to the pandemic, or this has just been happening slowly building up over the
Y-
years?
I'm very fascinated by that, and I'm glad you asked that question. What I've seen happen is nation state actors are getting way better at what they do. You see
Yeah.
certain countries breaking into other countries. Um, the US is also part of that, where they call it intelligence gathering. But nation states in general, they are more involved than that they ever been before. And I think if you've listened to some of these podcasts out there, there's certain countries that actually are benefiting financially from just cyber crime, where they've parts of their militaries, cyber units that do it for a living 24/7.
Mhm.
They come in and they go. So I see nation states being one of the biggest actors out there, which means that governments are likely to be hiring more cybersecurity people, more experienced cybersecurity people, because they really want to combat these nation state actors. Then organized groups as well from certain parts of the world. We have seen an increase, like you said, in collaboration. But one thing that I've seen very common that happens is one person releases a malware. Within 2 days or 24 hours, another group takes the same copy of the malware. They weaponize it, they make it even better because
Yeah.
the base has already been created. And this trend has been happening all the time where a small variant of malware gets released. Bigger groups that have more resources, more qualified people, take it and weaponize it at a larger scale, and they cause more havoc. So that means they didn't do much of the legwork.
Yeah.
Somebody did the best, and they just took it and put better tools around it to make it better. And that's
Yeah.
something that if I were to be concerned about, like the cyber threat landscape, is that ability to weaponize malware to that scale. It has been happening for a long time, but recently, organized crime criminal groups have been very active, and it's unfortunate that while they have been getting caught, the majority of them never get caught because it's easier to hide that money and also their identities.
Yeah. Because when you're structured behind when you're a group that's structured like an organization or a corporation now, you could
Mm.
easily hide yourself instead of easily being caught. So yeah, so like I tell a lot of business owners that I come across, is like it
Mm.
doesn't matter if you don't have anything that a hacker or somebody wants.
Mm.
It's basically when they get into your system and find what they're looking for, then
Yeah.
they move off to your vendor. Then they're in your vendor system. Then they look around and see what kind of client that vendor has, and so forth and
Mm.
so forth. So you're basically the gateway into this whole kind of this whole structure. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, or you could just be part of a botnet. Say a compromise in your computer. I realize that I can't get into your bank account. I can just keep you as part of a botnet where if I really need to attack another victim, I can just use you to jumpstart my attacks, or I can use some traffic from your computer to cause a simple denial of service.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that everyone just need to be diligent about their cybersecurity hygiene and doing the right things and making sure that attackers don't get to you. I don't think we're in a world where we can say, well, I'm not important enough, nobody cares about me anymore,
Yeah.
because we can be used as gateways.
Exactly. um All right. So let's talk about your mentors. Who are some of your mentors in your field, in your career?
Yeah, I have an old manager of mine. This gentleman, I was working for him. I was doing system administration work, and he was like, "Hey, if you got a new job tomorrow and you move into cybersecurity, I will not be mad. I know this is something that you're passionate about. I know you've been working towards and getting better at it. And to be honest, I'm encouraging you to start looking for a new job. I know you work for me, which is very unusual for people to say. You work for them. It's not in their best interest for you to leave. And because
Hmm.
of that, I've always used them as a mentor where if I made any career moves, I'll say, hey, I'm about to take this certification. Or, hey, I'm struggling with maybe communication. Maybe it's a misunderstanding between myself and a coworker. And I think I'm right. And I just need someone who is going to be brutal honest and tell me, you're overthinking things. Nothing is there. So I had my old manager that I always bounce ideas off. I also have someone who I never worked with before, but I found via my YouTube channel. They just reached out to me one day. They were like, "Hey, I see that you have consistently produced content," and to them, consistency was something that really struck a chord. Was they know that it's easy to have a burst of energy and just produce 20 videos, then
Hmm.
disappear for 6 months and have burst of energy and come back. But I've consistently produced content week after week, and they're like, because of this, I would like to help you get into cybersecurity. Is there anything that I can do? I was like, hey, actually, yeah. I've been applying and I didn't get any responses, so I started bouncing ideas off them to get my resume fixed. And they were honest. Both my mentors are people that tell me when I'm being ridiculous or if I'm not going in the right direction. They're not
Yeah.
worried about offending me. They really care about where I'm going. Before I make a career move, before I make any major decisions, like, oh, I want to switch teams from blue team to red team, or system administration to cybersecurity. I say, hey, is this a good amount of time to have spent at a job? I wanted to switch after 3 months at another job, and it was like, that's not a good idea. Unless if you really hate your job, I would use the next 4 or 5 months gaining the certifications, because you want to make sure that your work history is still solid, things like that. So I do
Hmm.
have a couple mentors, and because of that, I found myself mentoring some people. I have three people that I work with very closely, and two of them got jobs in cybersecurity. One is currently struggling with a unique situation where they have a master's in cybersecurity, but they've never worked in IT. And people really get a little weird when you show up with a master's. They think you want $120,000 to start. So, things like that. But yeah, having
Yeah.
mentors definitely is something that I think needs to be applied. And any organizations out there that helps with connecting people with mentors always
Yeah.
something that I like to work with.
Yeah. I want to touch a little bit about. You were saying that one of the reasons for your YouTube channel is basically like showing people that you actually know what you're talking about. And
Mm-hmm.
I think what a lot of IT people fail to realize is that y- using social media for your benefits is one of the best things about it. Like that's another
Oh yeah.
reason why I started my YouTube channel is like, hey, I want to show you what I could do because I have an extensive career in this industry and
Mm-hmm.
I know what I'm talking about. So it's just whenever I just talk to people, I'm like, use social media. Like it's not all bad. You just have to kind of use it for your benefit. Just it's your living resume. It's your living body of work. So
I'm
why
glad
not
that you
I'm
use
brought
it?
that one up.
Marvin. I'm glad you said it that way because
Mm-hmm.
when me and Marvin first started together, we had this talk about how we're gonna do this channel because at first I did not want to bump head with the juggernaut of the tech YouTube. We have Unbox Therapy, we had Lyman Tech, you had Gamer Nexus, you had J2 But what Marvin said, they are the level one, and I had to agree with him that
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
it is level one, but they don't have the back end on the corporate side of the stuff that we are. experienced, observed, worked on, and built upon. So I said, you know what? It's not gonna be a competition, be more of another level. We're showcasing things that they have not approached yet. Lyman may have done it in his early career, but he walked away from it. I can understand that. But what they're doing is something we can build on top as well and bring it to the next level. So this podcast we are doing is just to open the door wider and show it's not everything that you see beside Climate Tech, Gimme, Nexa, J2 Cent. Yeah, that
Hmm.
is one part of it, but there's much more beside that as well. So we're
Yeah.
trying to put a bridge and a gap, let them know this is what IT really is. There's so much more that go on and insight you can learn from. So like me, I
Exactly.
want me and Marvin, you will do this channel. We'll talk about IT more. I may talk about tips or how to protect yourself from a user base to a streamer base. With I will have to work with you, Howard, because just like this issue we have with the connection, everything is down to the science, be the
Hmm.
hardware and the software. If you don't have the right combination, the right formula, they're not going to work the way it's supposed to work. And I see that me
Exactly.
and Marvin see it in corporate America. Marvin will tell you, me and two other guys, we would get heavily geeked out. I mean geeked out. Marvin will look at us like we lost our mind. We just speaking stuff. Oh, they're using the wrong thing. Marvin just sit down and watch us like, no, they're not gonna hire you, right? We don't care about your point of view. But yeah, but this is why they're having this issue and this issue and this because we would go in and say this is why we giving so much pushback, so much
Yeah.
annoying headache, unnecessary headache, to the point whereby we wait for something to happen. And Marvel will tell you this. The part we work together, I saw something, I put it out
Hmm.
there ahead of time, month in advance, maybe 2 or 3 months. By the time it went down, my phone blown up. Oh, you called it. Oh, you called it. Oh, you called it. Like, called what? Oh, remember you said
Oh,
this would
this.
have happened, X, Y, Z, did, and it actually happened the way it happened? I said, this,
Hmm.
this is the problem. They hired the wrong expert.
Yeah.
One of the guy told us at the IT profession there are two kind of things you can either you have to make money
Hmm.
or you help them save money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our position is them to save money. So how are you gonna save them money if this keep on going on and they spend way more to fix the problem when they should spend less?
Yeah.
So
And
I'm glad when Marvin mentioned that this is like a resume, an online resume, but also to showcase to let people know there's much more than what you think is just building PC. There's a science, there's a formula behind doing actual stuff. So
exactly.
while we're doing this interview, we are using you and many other attributes to showcase people. There are too many different avenues you can venture in that you need to try what you can do. Maybe,
Exactly.
hopefully, you might have our first black corporation and you have more black people in different areas in IT that we can branch out even more because you know this very well, Howard. Africa is now the next building ground for
Yeah.
IT.
Actually, today I read that South Africa is building a Silicon Valley, and companies like Amazon and Google, they're interested in having another team there, just like how India has been, where people they get developers. But I really actually, at first, when I started doing these online appearances, YouTube and things like that, I used to be very self conscious. I would actually hold back, like, oh, I don't want to sound like an arrogant person. But here's what I found out: it's both ways. If I make YouTube videos for 10 consecutive years, you're going to see a history, a progression of me even aging, but also me getting better. That's like you said, an online portfolio that no one can take that away from you. At the same
Exactly.
time, you're contributing to the community. At the same time, you're showing the community that it's okay to start somewhere. If you watch my videos from 3 years ago, when I didn't know much about cybersecurity, to videos where now I am doing ethical hacking, you can tell that I've grown, and as a person, my growth, I'm lucky enough that it's documented, and I would like to keep that documentation in place, both to inspire others and also for those who don't watch the entire thing and pick on pieces, they will still benefit from it. But at the same
Yep.
time, I'm not shy to say that that is my contribution to the community, and also it's a way for me, if I wanted you to hire me tomorrow and you were using Azure, I can go and say, hey, here's a couple of videos of me working on security groups in Azure, and this is what I know about Azure. This is what I've done. And I can just, you can take my word for it. You can see me do it,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
And
different.
this is why we're all doing the same thing, because I'm glad you did mention that way, because
Mm,
me, my one thing, I'm the hardware junkie, but I always understand the hardware formula, because a lot of
mm,
corporations keep making that same mistake over and over, saying, "Oh, you only need this spec and this spec and this spec," but later on, God forbid, you're having 500 machines crashing on us. For what apparent reason? What chip are you using? What kind of hard drive are you using? What kind of setup are you using? What did you overlook? And when you
mm,
find out what they overlooked, then it's not that they can take your work, because they'll say, "Who are you?" So we have to do things like this
mm,
to showcase, to teach, to educate. I might have to do it, start doing a streamer setup video series. But now you start
mm,
walking you through what you need to get, what you need to watch out for, what kind of platform you're using, what kind of
mm.
canvases. Because I'm getting people are going too far with the $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 professional cameras. Which I'm not saying you don't need.
Mm.
I'm not gonna
But
knock it.
for that money, you could get better equipment. I get it. Yeah.
Yes, that makes
Because
sense. Yeah.
corporations make that same mistake for decades, and you can watch it and see it. Now, all of a sudden, you got the infrastructure bill come to play. Oh, you want to build a landline? I was telling Marvin, everybody want to go to the cloud, but we are behind.
Mm,
Our United States infrastructure is not the same as United Kingdom
mm,
or France or Holland, not even China. But you tend to go too far to the extreme end, putting too much work on something that is crumbling. How are you going to do that?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You are the cybersecurity expert. You see that already. Easy. We interviewed
Yeah,
somebody early
even when I was a
before.
sysadmin, we once made a mistake of buying Dell XPS computers with the very first chip that they had produced. They were being sold as high end computers, and they were crashing with Microsoft Excel. And we found out that the chip that they were using was the same as the Chromebooks.
Oh,
And,
this.
yeah, and of course, you launch Google Chrome and a couple of Excel spreadsheets, the thing crashes, and we paid $2,000 for it, and we're like, "What is this?" So
Yeah. Yeah.
I get where you're coming from there.
You see my point right now?
So,
Jeez.
yeah.
I give you a good story. This is An Inc. A guy
Mm,
was telling me, "Oh, you don't need too much RAM. How you want to tell me you have an i7 processor
mm,
with a 80 gig no, not 80 gig, sorry, 200 gig hard drive and 8 gigs on RAM, right?
mm.
But you want to put Photoshop
Yeah, 8 gigs is not gonna.
and Dreamweaver." And I'm looking at him like, you you need to be at least 32. No, 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 no. You use the hard drive for the page for it. I watched this guy. Now, mind you, he's a high position. Do they
Mhm.
know anything about hardware like I do? Anyone who messed with hardware and software will tell you Photoshop recorded the resource vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one thing you have the basic minimum to run Windows. But
Yeah.
I keep trying to figure out why these companies make the dumbest mistake. Windows have a bare minimum to operate alone by itself, not with the added application you put on it.
Mm,
So when you start putting these software vampires, watch Marvin, they will start taking my word and say the same thing. Software vampires, you put in their machine, not only it will fight with the resource with Windows, it will fight with the resource with any other application you have in that machine. So when you're using Photoshop and by the time 30 minutes in, it just freeze, then
mm.
shut down BSOD, blue screen of death, you're asking why did it happen? Think.
You can
It's
do the
like
math
saying,
and
I used to say the
calculations.
term, you were trying to make a
Mm,
Volkswagen Beetle act like a Roy Royce. It's not possible.
yes.
Yeah.
How do you,
I'm seeing this now in my current corporation. Like we've got laptops that can't hold the latest Windows 20H update. It's like
Hmm.
you gotta kind of future think. these laptops. Like you need Windows itself. Microsoft will always push out big updates for Windows, so you got to think
Mm-hmm.
about that. Then you got to think about these software that constantly need to update. So
Mm-hmm.
that's taking up hardware space. Now the next big update that rolls out, you can't roll it out because there's no hard drive space. So plus user data, and then yeah, so it's like you got to future think and future proof everything. Most of these, and plus most of these decision makers are not hardware savvy. That's the thing. They're not hardware savvy. They have no IT background, but they put them in place because they're good at crunching numbers. And
I was gonna I was going to ask you, is it because people like you who have been in the industry and they've seen things are too expensive? Maybe.
It's not that it's not that it's too expensive. Let me this a little secret. It's not that it's too expensive. There's
Mm.
a hidden handshake that going between the vendor and the client
Oh.
behind the shadow, where people
Mm-hmm.
not paying attention of. Because let's be real, Marvin know this. Almost a decade and a half ago, people used to throw out machines. They found out they cannot do it because of federal regulation. You got the FTC regulation whereby there's a processing process when you get rid of old machines. You look at
Yeah.
the list, the do not wipe list and the wipe list. We did that with UBS. And then the
Mm.
do not wipe list, we had to yank out the hard drive, put in the evidence back, write down the name or the user of the machine, the spec, what machine take it out from, put it in the box so they can investigate, make sure this doesn't happen. Now, problem is when you want to do future proof in the machine, they don't think long term just for the sake of saving money.
Oh yeah.
They say like, and these vendors, let's be honest with you, they're not always giving you the best of the best unless you have the big budgets like Bloomberg.
mhm.
People who I know who work in Bloomberg, they say they get the top of the line PT. They're not getting the end of the line getting pushed out, making room for the new set of series that coming out.
Yeah. Mm.
This is why we have these issues where they're not future proofing it. That's number one. The type
Mm.
of hardware they're putting, like hard drive, what kind of hard drive are you using? Are you using the mechanical hard drive? Are you using the SATA hard drive? Are you using the M2 hard drive? Another thing,
Mm.
the chip, like you said, the XPS with Dell machine, it was no different from the Chrome chip. Why would you think that way and think, oh, you're going to save cost? Remember,
Yeah.
every processor are not the same. Some processors require extra horsepower. If you want to get developer, Marvin know that developer are work headaches. Not you guys, cybersecurity guys, developers, because you know what? Their job is to constantly improve or
Mm.
upgrade whatever software or application the company needs to utilize. Now they don't
Mm.
get the proper tool to set the company straightforward, it'll be nothing but a bunch of hiccups. I do tech support. When they send me tickets, they're not explaining the detail. And when I try to explain them, this is not what needs to be done because y'all overlooking the process. You want to tell me the process, but I've been battle tested far too many times to know y'all overlook a particular point. And then,
Yeah.
God forbid, I turn to the ultra nerd and start breaking down the process to them and start teaching them what they. Marvin tell you, I do that too much. When people overlook me and I start geeking out, this Marvin doing. Oh boy,
Yeah.
he's embarrassing people again.
Yeah, Alliance page again. So yeah,
And
but
I
that's
do
a
that.
good thing.
But
I mean,
the
yeah,
problem,
we need people who have seen things to speak
this
up,
is,
and we
I
hope
think
that
this
they
probably these
listen
YouTube
as well.
channel need to be done because what you're doing, I saw your YouTube channel. I'm like, Africa need your YouTube channel bad because not only you exposing them, you're teaching them, you're enlightening them, you're motivating them. At the same time, you're mentoring them. What Marvin is doing is needed. What I'm
Mm.
doing, we're in the streamer market now. Everybody want to go into streaming. Either streaming for a game, want to teach people and talk about conversation. The setup matter.
Mm.
The setup always matter because I see some of the same kind of mistake that corporations are making that people are doing their damn self. And they don't
Mm.
really think about the long term event because you testing out Windows 11. Me and Marvin, we know not to jump on it because based on one, our PC are not name brand. It's
Mm.
custom made.
Yeah,
Microsoft is
custom made.
not trying pushing the update on us because they know we will catch on to what's going on. Now, God forbid, you see the picture. Some of the hardware are not cheap.
Oh yeah, you don't want them to break your cards with a simple update.
So, as hardware junkie, hardware professional, we finally understood the formula behind it, which corporations are not trying to learn.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting people who they think they understand these things. They are, I can't call them pen. They you punch the numbers. Yes, you punch the number. Do you check what kind of software you're ordering that you need for your business? You check the minimum requirement on the software, and you check, okay, is this the minimum requirement for this one particular software? What have you add this software and this software and this software? What the requirement you need for these three then? All in the same machine. Do you even think about that?
Yeah.
You see what I'm coming from right now?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen companies do that all the time for 20 years. You Yeah, I see the memory required for this application. Yeah, but combine them all together. Not just for one alone and say it's the same. No, it's not the same. That's why you have BSOD happen a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft application calls out BSOD, especially Excel spreadsheet, which is probably known because of all the extra macro and stuff they plug in and put onto it. It's
Mm-hmm.
mostly on a network share drive, and they trying to work on it with. To this day, for the past 7 years, there's no fix for it. Now I'm geeking out right now. So all the experience is coming out now. Mom
I
would
was
tell
going
you,
to I was going to trigger you and say, did you also set up roaming profiles for people? Was I hear they're a nightmare?
Yeah, I'm glad they got rid of that Roman profile. It's like it's a headache, man.
Yeah.
it
I've seen,
was.
yeah, it's a headache.
And
Mm.
I was in the forefront. Mom would tell you that. How many times I was the guy who timed people how long it take to replace certain type of machine. Either have woman profile, not woman profile, or this. Marvel would tell you I was the guy who would do the testing, the timing. And I time myself, and I know that I have a depending of what part they have, what model they have. If I'm going by your model and the spec, that's crazy. I tell you, I pay attention to every small details. And you're a cybersecurity expert engineer, so you have to pay attention to every small detail. And when you start
Mm.
explain things to people, they have to listen. They
Yeah.
got to. If they don't listen, they can make a multi-million dollar mistake whereby they got no choice to bend on their knee and say, "Please save us."
Yeah,
There was
Yeah.
a man. There's a meme that was going out where you see a bunch of texts were praying to the server, "Please do not crash."
I saw that one. Yeah. I think I saw it on LinkedIn actually. Yeah.
So
all right.
imagine.
No, no,
You
go
can
ahead,
go ahead.
finish.
No, the thing what I'm trying to put is this. I'm glad you mentioned about social media and using social media as a living resume to add to your LinkedIn profile resume because as we
Mm.
speak about these things and what we do in our experience and start talk about terminology, technique, formulas, it played in hand. So when people looking for a professional who can actually do the job and they had a YouTube channel, the first thing they're going to look at is your video, see what you
Mm-hmm.
were speaking on, see what you were working on. And they see that you know exactly what you're talking about and you can articulate yourself and break it down to the
Mm.
science. It will force companies to rethink things now. Who am I hiring? Why do I have
Yeah.
all these problems? Why am I wasting so much money when these people can come in and save me a whole lot more money?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
That's the thing because you look at the tech YouTuber I mentioned before, they've been doing it for a couple of years now. Corporation now listen to them. Unbox
Mm.
Therapy, Limus Tech, Mr. Who the Boss, uh, Gimme Nexus,
Mm.
J2 Cent. Corporation listen to them and make the actual change needed to have better products. If these
Yeah.
guys telling your phone is not done properly, you having an XYD issue, and they realize they're telling the truth, and they call them into their corporate office or their
Mm.
manufacturing plant, this is how we do our testing, is so that they understand the technology. You gonna be needed sooner or later. I'm gonna start seeing you at who know at Cisco or who know whatever company, and they try to ask you what's your expert opinion concerning X, Y, and Z. People will show out for you because of that, because you know what you showcase what you know and what you fully understand. The same will apply to Marvin. When Marvin continue to do what he's doing, and people have to call him over, say, you know what, we need your opinion because you seem like you know exactly what you're talking about. It's going to happen. I think IT professionals need to take social media in a different limelight and say, you know what, maybe I can add it and apply it to my resume, what I have on LinkedIn, and just be like, a teaching moment. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm articulating. This what you can do, what you cannot do. These are the steps I apply to fix certain issues.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Forgive me
So,
for being a nerd.
so all right, man. All right. That's
That's
what
okay.
we set up this podcast for. We could talk to all the nerds and see what the idea is about.
Yes.
So, Howard, being in the IT field, or what kind of hobbies have you picked up? Like, what do you do to kind of just like,
When I'm not doing any IT work, I play a lot of video games. I think that's a cliche for a
like,
lot of people, but
I,
you can find me. I play video games that most people don't play around here. I play FIFA, so I've played
okay,
FIFA from 2012 up to the latest 2022. I've a group of friends on Fridays. You can see we are very loud, by the way. On Fridays we started Xbox party and we have matches and it's really fun. Other than that, I do home automation. So my home, I have irrigation systems, cameras,
nice.
and thermostats that I try to combine and put in one central place and make my home better.
Yeah, yeah,
It's really fun stuff to be able to just do home automation. It's really not cybersecurity work, but it's
yeah.
something that I can use what I already know to make happen just for fun.
Nice, nice. There's a home automation group that I follow on Facebook. A lot of I jump in there from time to time to see what's new. It's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
good stuff, man. I like home automation. I like come
Mm-hmm.
home and tell my Alexa turn on my lights. That's
Yeah.
one of the geeky stuff about tech. It's like you
Mm-hmm.
get things like that. So
Yes. Yeah.
um, so let's talk about. So I see here one of your inspirations for shows is Mr. Robot. Now I'm not gonna bash Mr. Robot. I know you like it,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's just what was it about that show that got you interested in it?
They hired a cybersecurity expert.
Okay,
I read about the background of the show. They had what is his name? Is it Rob Fuller or some a very well-known cybersecurity expert to inform them on inspiration on some of the uh, attacks. So when
yeah,
I watch some of their screens, they actually are running, say, Metasploit to actually do things. And I like it mostly because it's while it's a fictitious show, at least it's inspired by the real IT. They don't trivialize cyber attacks. At
yeah,
least they actually show that there's these big corporations out there that have bad intents and things like that. And also they try to represent cybersecurity in the in a better light than the other things that I've seen.
yeah,
In addition
yeah,
to that, I also think that it speaks to the struggles that people who work in cybersecurity might have. You know, you might see me just show up to work as a cybersecurity engineer doing good work, but you don't know the demons that I'm fighting at home or in my personal life, and that's why I think, at least as a show for entertainment, it's kind of worth watching for somebody who might not be familiar with cybersecurity because
uh huh.
it has those components.
Nice. Okay, all right. No,
I got
it's just when yeah.
let me ask you a question. You said, "Mr. What was your favorite movie?" What happened to Swordfish, the old school movie? It also has,
Yeah.
Swordfish.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
a lot of people bring up Swordfish as their favorite movie. As far as like, I'm not sure though. I don't remember. I've watched it, but I think I confused it with a couple other movies that I've watched, so I can't pinpoint it. But now that you mention it, I'll probably have it on my list in the next coming weeks because I do watch a movie at least every other week. I like movies.
No, I'm glad you
Ni-
mentioned because there's not too many hacking movies out there. It's like about you count under two hands about I don't know about 4 to 7 hacking movies that and they
Yeah,
pop up.
there's a whole list that I have on my computer that I haven't gone to. The problem is when you show up thinking it's a hacking movie, then you realize there's only 2 minutes where maybe an attempted hack happens. The rest is just a lot of fluff, and with the screen that they show, it's just a Linux terminal running, listing processes. Then you're like, okay, really, that was it,
Yeah,
things like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's just I kind of just stay away from like IT shows or anything related because they just never get it right. It's
yeah.
like they just never get it right.
You want
Um,
it to be technically. That's the problem with IT folks is if you're going to show up with technical content, they expect you to be technically correct.
No,
yeah,
no, Marvin, you don't have to stay away. You could be the tough critic and say, you know what, make a
Mm.
series and that pull out all the movie who trying to project IT and call them out. This is not how IT look. Don't let these people deceive you because sometimes we need to be the tough critic that we are and call people out because I've seen a series, they have military expert calling out military action movie and ask them if it's legit or not legit. And I've seen that type of series going on. They're acting certain military professional. Well, you done
Mm.
that in the film? They said, this is make believe. We don't do this in the film. They said, no, yeah, this is legit. This is how this is the protocol. No, this is not the protocol. This is just make up. That's when you have people in certain field that call people out. This is not what we do. This is what we do. So what's wrong? We being tech experts, we call out these so-called movies that try to make us look like this is what we are, but it's not. So
Yes.
maybe we should have a series that we start calling out all the IT movie and start pointing out, director, you screwed up here. This is not how we operate. Director, you messed up on this part. You need to do better the next time. Maybe that's how making more realistic and more interesting movie. Because let's be honest, sometimes some movies have some IT setup that make us look bad.
Mhm. Well, especially hacking. Hacking is usually portrayed as hackers have to be these people with a mental health, or they don't have social skills. They can't hold a conversation. They're always stuck in a basement. It's always like they don't portray a normal person that you can meet on the street and just talk to and
hmm
say that's a hacker.
yeah,
They people when you say you're a hacker, they envision a specific type of person in their heads, and they don't realize that they are hackers who are just women who probably just look normal. Just like you meet them in the street, you probably think they work somewhere else, and you'll never know they
yeah.
work in cybersecurity. Or they
Okay.
look like us. I don't think there's ever been a portrayal of a hacker who looks like us anyway. So when people hear that you work in cybersecurity and you look like us, they're like, that's kind of interesting. They don't meet that many people like that.
Yeah, I think it's just one of the stigma is just when you come across IT professional or a hacker, you automatically have this image of what they should look like. But
Exactly.
again, the industry is so big that you could be
Hmm.
a you could be a hacker who wear you're a female that wear heels and you wear the most designer, but you go back
Exactly.
to your home and you've got you know you're hacking 24/7. So the image of an IT professional hacker is just something of yesteryear. So def-
Exactly.
definitely a lot of different boxes. So
Yeah, I
um,
It
agree.
it needs to change because Marvin, you go to what I go to. When you tell people hey, the IT, but they look at you funny like
yeah, you don't look like an IT guy or
you
whatever.
sure you don't look like a bouncer? You sure you're not a bouncer or something because you don't look like a typical guy who will sit
IT
down.
guys work out too, so it's like
A buff IT person who's running marathons and things like, wait a second, huh? You work
yeah,
in
yeah,
IT and you're running marathons and you're doing workouts. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
But
So
my would tell I'm a big guy, but people to make fun of me tell how you an IT guy? You look like you beat up people, not fix stuff. Like and there was one guy who was bigger than us and working at UBA. He's like a fortress. He's like what 6'4", 6'8", big guy, former army military guy. But he's like
Mm.
a teddy bear. But when you tell that guy the IT profession, you like, are you sure it is IT or he just the it guy who beat up you? Like he don't look like a guy. No, cause you could see his hands. You would think like how he able to
uh
Yeah.
like the Bad Boy 2 movie. They had the guy who was very tall. He did a geeky road and he had to squat with his knee surpassed his head and Like, come on. It was
Yeah, yeah,
funny. I had to laugh. I'm like, why you gotta get the toilet guy to be the geek and have him squat down, his knees up in the air, past his hand, and he was gonna like, come on, that don't even look like.
Exactly.
But the portrayal of us as professional is becoming more comical now.
Mhm.
So
yeah,
I think that needs to change because some of these movies, some of the TV shows, some of the series, the guy that put the portrayal of the IT guy, you just have to look with like, oh god, when they gonna stop making us look like we're some weirdos? Like for real,
Oh,
we're not weirdos.
that's why if with your series on YouTube and people, the thing is once once you have a series that is consistent and people know your style, you have regulars, and some of those people we have never seen, you know, people like us talking on the regular about IT, and all of a
yeah,
sudden here they show up and they hear the experiences. Like what we're talking about today is going to surprise someone. People will be like, really? Something that I've
yeah,
actually never thought about. So it's almost like the narrative and you being on the forefront and having your podcast, your YouTube channel, and just being out there contributing to all the knowledge that people are consuming really helps as well.
yeah, yeah. So let's get into, I think, one of the hardest questions people like us ever dealt with is: have you ever encountered racism in your field?
Yeah, I'm
And
one.
but wait, hold on before you answer. So,
Mm,
how did you deal with it, and what is it a driving factor for you to be better in your field, be the top cybersecurity engineer?
yeah, I think it's inevitable, especially I've been in IT almost 10 years now, and one thing that I would tell you is the times that I faced racism, it was very apparent. Like I remember, again, it was my help desk days. I answered the phone. The person on the other end just said, "I need to speak to someone else." And I was like, "Oh, I wonder why." He said, "Hey, can I just speak to an American?"
Mm,
I knew I was one of the top performing um, analysts on that team. I knew a lot of solutions and I could have helped this person. But for them to say, "I need to speak to an American," really discouraged me. And then, of course, I knew at that point that they didn't want to talk to me, not because I didn't know what I was talking about, but because they just heard my voice over the phone. They didn't see my face. They've never interacted with me. They don't know my day to day. They don't know anything about me other than this voice just sounded like I don't belong in America.
mm-hmm,
And I did speak to my boss. I said, "Hey, this lady is on the phone. She wants to speak to an American." My boss, lucky enough for me, he stood for me. He said, "You're going to help her, or if she doesn't want to be helped by you, she doesn't get help today." And she
mm-hmm.
made a big deal out of that because she was, one of the high up people in finance, in a, holding a position where if they couldn't do their job, there could be implications. And there
Yeah.
were organizational discussions after that. Um, I was happy that I was part of the discussions. At the same time, I felt uncomfortable. I didn't want the company coming on this person as an example for
Yeah.
what racism is.
Yeah.
Was I in my mind I kept saying maybe they couldn't understand me. Maybe my accent is too thick, and they just are struggling to understand me. That's why they were asking for someone else. But at the same time, knowing that they didn't give it a chance to even listen, or even like we didn't spend it. I didn't say answered the phone. They asked to speak to someone else. So that showed me that they really didn't think that I could help, or they didn't believe that I was supposed to be the right person. And I think some of that stems from people believing that people like myself came to this country to take high paying jobs, cybersecurity are high paying jobs from hardworking Americans. And they're in a job that I'm sitting on right now. An American, even though I've now been an American citizen, could be sitting
Yeah.
in that job. And there are certain people who still hold on to those values. And because of that, I find a lot of motivation in being very good at what I do. So if an employer hires me, I don't want to be the token black employee. I just happen to be the only black person in my team, but I don't want to check a box that says at least we are diverse because we have Howard on the team. I want
Yeah.
them to hire me based on my merit. I don't want my boss to feel obligated, say, well, we really need to promote the only black person around because he has been here for 3 years. I want them to promote me because I'm actually contributing and adding value in a way that meets the standards of, say, a lead engineer, a principal engineer, or even a manager.
Right.
I need to be
Exactly.
judged on my merit. And I do that for two things. One, out of respect for myself, I never want to feel like I was handed something because of the way I look as a charity or donation. And number two, there's going to be another person who looks like me, maybe sounds like me. I don't want people to think, well, years ago we had one from an African on our team, and this is what happened, and we wonder if we experience it. I want to make it easier for people who will come after me to excel and really be given a fair chance. They might fail, but at least they're not being put in a box like what I've experienced with, racism and people
Yeah.
just bluntly not liking us. So I would say, if anything, I really feed off the fact that there are people out there who, the moment I open my mouth or the moment they see me, assume that I'm less than.
Yeah.
And I would like to blow their minds off when I show up and I know what I'm talking about. Maybe that will help really open people's minds and realize they're wrong. But at the same time, I also understand that I owe it to myself to be the best I can and to perform at the highest levels that I can at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sad that even in this day and age, it's racism is still around. But if you
Mm.
think about it, it's like, it's not against the law to be racist. It's just
Yeah.
people don't understand. Like, we're here to contribute like everybody else. We're here to, keep America safe like everybody else, keep America productive. But
Mm.
it's why do you have to come with that negative energy and that narrow mindset? You know, if somebody doesn't speak proper English, all you have to do is just listen a little bit harder. You'll understand
Mm.
what they're trying to say. So yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because I've been on multiple panel on the YouTube street, the Black YouTube street, and I brought this issue up. We don't have that happen because we don't have a lot of black corporation that will
Uh-huh.
even out the white or European corporation. We don't have our own institution because when you start having your own, I don't see this type of racism toward to the Spanish community. I don't see the type of racism going to the Asian nor the Middle Eastern. We know that the Middle Eastern, aka people from India or Pakistan, they get respected more in the IT field than us.
Hmm.
If you think
Mm.
about it, because they have their institution, they have their own setup. We need to build our own. When we don't have our own, we'll fight with a call a uphill battle, type of prove our own self. What we are forced to be individuals, not a collective no more. They know Marvin
Exactly.
because Marvin's good at what you do. They know Howard because he's good at what you do. They know me because I'm good at what I do. But they don't know as a collective that we are very well efficient. Now we talk about anyone from India, they'll look at India as a collective. They got great promising techs that can do the job. They believe them as a collective, not as an individual. But for us, we have to pull our work based on as an individual, not as a collective until we have rival companies that can
Yeah.
compete with the ACL, that can compete with Infosys, that they can bid for a contract, and we have people like us working on higher tier level positions.
Yeah.
Until that change, it's not going to change. I've been on the multiple platforms trying to school people what I've been
Mm.
observing in the unit for 20 years in the field. I've been in the country for almost 40 years, but not there yet. I'm 43. But what I was telling Marvin this thing, I've told Marvin before in person and while we were talking back and forth, what I've observed in multiple places. There's a there's like a ranking system based on ethnic group, who get the respect in certain fields. Now, since 2009, it has been put out there that say Nigerians are the most educated community in the United States because they see it a track record and most Nigerians trying to get double degree or triple degree because of what their parents put them through because they knew we had to prove our worth.
Mm-hmm.
Howard from Zimbabwe, what if more people from Zimbabwe do the same exact thing as Nigeria were doing? Now they'll be the next higher ethnic group that pushing the high level of education. Even though we're doing that, we're doing that institution. But at the end of the day, they'll all look at that as black. They're not gonna look at where country we come from.
No, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is why, besides talking tech, when I be on certain other panels, talk about other situations that do affect us at tech, I have to point out the obvious. Let's stop the nonsense. You could be talking about the same issue for year in, year out for the next couple of years. What are you planning to do? At the tech, our job is to find solution. So I'm asking you in the most technical way, what solution can we implement to make this thing started? Because people like to do this and run them out and complain. I'm not here to complain. I'm here to build.
Yeah,
You
I
here
like
to
that.
build, Howard. Marvin here to
Mm-hmm.
build. We understand what is needed to find
Mm-hmm.
like-minded people to come together and do something big. I told Marvin, if we can grow this to a channel, we have a team. On Back Therapy, have a team. Lima Tech have a real big team. Gamma Next, both Lima Tech and Gamma Next got their building. They're growing. Jason
Mm-hmm.
said, California, it become a soon time. He have a studio soon because he had to get a building sooner or later. If we don't build our own, then what's going to happen next? We still have to continue to fight and continue to prove time after time after time again. I hope that the channel go big. Then one day you be hosting it with Marvin. I might be somewhere interview somebody, or I might come over here. Then we start to collaborate. We start to build something bigger. Then start to branch out. Because when I mentioned Africa, how I know this? They're trying to build a Silicon Valley in Nigeria. But I'm kind of shocked they rate over $1 billion for that, which I found that quick. That was too soon, too quick. Rwanda burned their own too. So Africa is now the fastest faster growth economy in the continent, whereby beside Nigeria, you have Kenya, you got the Zimbabwe, you have other countries that now trying to rise up.
Yes.
When they do rise up, what's next?
Mm.
We
Yeah,
know very well in Africa they need the tools, they need
exactly.
the
And
teachers.
I really like what at least here in Minneapolis, St. Paul area, the black community does not. I know we have said Africans and the black community here in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis and St. Paul is very very pro each other. So
Mm-hmm.
when I was still in college, once a year, and it's mostly African American men. And I was a very naive African. I just, I grew up in a homogeneous society. I never felt like I was being discriminated. And showing up to the summit where people were saying, hey, okay, we need to connect with each other. We need to give each other connections because what happens is if you don't have connections, you might be good at what you do. But if you don't know people, it might take you longer to get to where you want compared to somebody who
Mm-hmm.
knows people. And since we are now at a point where we are, realizing that we need this, it was called a Kente Summit. I haven't attended in a couple of years, but it happens every single year at a local university here for 100% black men. They just show up. There's also blacks in tech. There's a chapter here where members meet every week. People have talks just to share experiences like what we're talking about here. Like, okay, how do we, in a tactful way, non-disruptive way, address these issues? Because it's easy to go and say, I'm really upset at how things are being done, then disrupt the company and the procedures, or you can show up and communicate in a way where the point is still heard, but at the same time provide some direction and still maintain our dignity and integrity so that we are not reactionary or fall into the stereotype of, oh, you're an angry black man. Of course, you're mad. It's hard to have a discussion with you. But at the same time, the communities I've seen so far are really great, especially both in tech and just in general. People especially the African American community in the United States in various cities, has come up with a lot of tools and solutions to and communities to actually address some of these. And the one thing that I found out is that I underutilize them. I don't contribute enough. And if people used what we already have and also contributed in a meaningful way to those initiatives, we will make a lot of excuse me, we'll make a lot of progress. And also with your this what you're doing with the podcast, it's a different type of exposure, right?
Yeah.
You're bringing a very very unique tool that is not out there, where you're giving a platform for people to speak about their experiences, share their experiences, learn from each other, but also inspire future generations when they see both of you having been in the industry for 20 years. They're like, so they actually spent 20 years in IT and he's still doing hardware. He's actually still geeking over hardware stuff after all those years. You know, another person is like, oh, I really like that stuff. And I think that's very important. And it's, as long as people like myself take what you're doing and really value it and also contribute, but also help spread the word and participate in any meaningful way, I think that's very helpful for us. And that's why I'm very grateful that you even, called me
So
to come
I'm
and
glad you said
chat
that
with
because
you.
there's one guy on the YouTube street, his name is Anton Daniel. He's another black
Mm,
YouTuber who also is a software engineer, but he's a self-made millionaire. He said something that's very specific that it also hit home. Do not be
mm,
a jack of all trades.
mm.
Be an expert in what you're good at and grow from there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I learned that because at first I had to question myself, should I be a jack of all trades or just be good at something and build from that? Because you may find people good at something else and they can help you in one area that you're not good at, and you can help them in one area they're not good at.
exactly. Like I can tell, like both of you, you do have the business mindset, and you also have the professional experience to back it up. I mean, that's
Mhm.
I told Marvin before the podcast started. I was like, hey, if I ever venture in the MSP world, um, in the future, I'll probably want to come back and tap your
No,
brain and see.
he's in that world.
Exactly.
I was trying to get in that world years ago, but the thing is, the problem is trying to build up from ground up by word of mouth in New York
Mm,
City. It's more than a challenge because it depends on what neighborhood you are in. If you're in the right neighborhood, you can succeed. But when you're in the wrong neighborhood and people don't want to pay for the service, what I watch people go to Best Buy and pay 3 times what you offer, it starts to feel weird. Maybe because
mm,
I don't have nothing to show what I can really do. So, like Marvin said, the YouTube is a great tool to showcase what you can do, what
Exactly.
you have done, and then some. The LinkedIn profile, I'll be telling people, make sure your LinkedIn profile mirror your resume.
exactly. I know a few people who have succeeded. Actually, I've been lucky to talk to a few. I don't know if you've seen. There's a gentleman called Willie Howe.
Really, really
He
how?
yeah, just Willie then Howe Howe. Willie Howe runs an MSP. Another one is Lawrence Systems. Lawrence Systems is very successful actually.
Part of Lawrence Systems, yes.
Lawrence Systems, and the one thing that I saw, I've been following them, is not only do they showcase, like, if there's an update to a hardware that they're passionate about, like Ubiquity or unified devices, they will go and test the hardware and show the customers, hey, I tried it in my lab environment. This is what it looks like. Then they generate a lot of leads. It's like a lead generation tool, but also it's a way to build a community. So people like myself, I follow them all. I've been following them for the past 3 4 years, even since I was a sysadmin. If I ever were in a lot of trouble and I need to hire an MSP, I'll be
Yeah.
calling Lawrence System because I know they've been talking about Unify for 5 years straight in a row. They know Unify in and out because they've been deploying it to their customers and they've been sharing some of the stories as well. And that's why I think it,
Yeah, I
this is.
follow Lawrence Systems. Is because of him that I'm into the PFSense firewall. I think it's a dope
Oh yeah,
firewall. Yeah, I use it. So he's really good. Uh, but again, it's like when me and Elia talks about we're coming from the corporate side, so we've seen this. I like his stuff. I do follow him,
Mm.
but
It's
again, when we
SMBs.
yeah.
Mm.
So which is he's in my field also. I don't really look at him as a competitor because I'm trying to move businesses into the cloud. He's trying to keep on-premise solution, which is cool. That's nothing wrong with
Mm.
that. But in the long run, we'll kind of see who actually wins the race or whatever. But I like Lawrence. I like what he does. I got the PSN's firewall because of him, his videos on it. So yeah,
Mm.
he's dope.
And I'm
Yeah.
glad you mentioned that because here's the problem. Marvin said we're from the professional platform. We came from the corporate realm. We understand what the corporate realm it utilizes to protect their business. Now, these guys who never have that deep experience in the corporate realm are doing things what they know and fully understand. Now, we did have a theory about small business, what is best for a custom-made PC or not. But I also broke it down to Marvin. It always falls down to the budget of what they can afford. Some people
Mm-hmm.
can afford to spend money on the cloud. Some people can afford to have it on the premises, which I fully grasp, I fully understand. But at the same token, when you talk about in a country that have a failing infrastructure, that will leave the massive question mark right above your head. Based on the
Mm-hmm.
choice you choose, when they need to upgrade their failing infrastructure, will you be affected by it or not? Where your choice that you made will save you a lot of headache going forward when they start to upgrade and something happen, or would it not? These are the things that as professionals we understand, we see, we observe it, we know what's going on. It's all about what setup will fit best for every individual, either small, medium, or large corporation. So
Mm-hmm.
when we want to give that estimate or give them that view, we have to be objective and let them make their choices.
Mm-hmm.
Because what Marvin said is totally correct. You come in the corporate realm, we see way more than people who work on a mom and pop store they had for a while and they start to go through social media. Now, yet you can
Mm-hmm.
go through social media and start helping other up and coming small businesses. But people coming for the corporate realm have a much deeper insight and can let people know what you can try. I told Marvin I had a chance to do exactly what you were doing, but somebody sabotaged me. And then one time we were working together at UBS, Rapid Realty. They're looking for someone to pick up their one of the location in Flatbush Avenue, which got water damage. And what I was trying to do is try and get them up and running first before we start throwing out too many different ideas they're not familiar with. One
Mm-hmm.
guy just went behind me and sabotaged it because the person who got me the business was a employee, but I had to work on her machine as well in the past. So she trusted me for this. If I had more people I could rely, let's say I'll call Marvin up the other guy, maybe you could have secured that business at that time. I wish I did. Because Rapid Realty was
Yeah.
one of the fastest growing real estate company at that time when we were working together.
Yeah, in New York
It's
City.
all the thing is, it's like you said, Howard, collaborating with the right people to build something up strong. It's
Exactly.
hard now as we are black people to find the right person who has the same mindset, because not everybody thinks the same. Our field are popular with people who only do it for the money, but not there for the impact. When you have the impact, the money will come anyway, but it will come in more than what you expect it to be. Because you know why? You build a trust, you build a reliability, you build a reputation. People can, you know what? We got to work with these, but they know what the hell they're talking about, they know what the hell they're doing. Same thing I say about all these tech YouTubers that they're able to go to these big corporation manufacturing plant and see how things get done. Because since they have been objective on their stuff and their product and their equipment to the point where they had to take their word for it. So they did the
Mm-hmm.
test, they had the space to do these tests. I told Marvin, if we grow the channel, we can get to a point where we have more space to do testing. I love to test the hardware based on certain setups. You like to test on the application, we can do it together. The other tech YouTubers are doing the same exact thing. They build a reputation where they're highly trusted and the word matters. Howard, you go be something big very soon than you think. People will have to come to you and take your expert opinion because you showcase it on your YouTube channel. There's no excuse. They'll say, you know what? He know what he's talking about. We've seen his video. He's on point. He knew what exactly needs to be done. So guess what? We might have to pick his brain how to protect our company and our business and our finance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same applied to Marvin, the same exact way. This is why we're doing this channel for that specific reason, for something much bigger than what it is. Yes, we
Hmm.
want to make money, but it's something long lasting. I'm not trying here to quickly build it just to make fast. I'm not here for the fast. I'm here for longevity. So that
Yeah.
I'm talking my son into it. My son will now start studying. I want him to join me. Okay, he'll be my helper in my channel. Okay, he might be my producer. Who knows? You might do the same thing with your children. I know mom don't have kids right now. I don't know if you want to have kids at this time, but
Gotta
I'm not throwing. I ain't throwing on
gotta
him.
get first, man.
That's
Kids are
extra money to
expensive.
that's the
Oh
extra
yeah.
mouth to feed. But you get what I'm coming from because this
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
something I take very serious.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm hoping for future collaboration down the line whereby we all working together. We add another one come to the end, and we're doing stuff to the point whereby I hope God bless. So we have a big studio. Then we start working together. We start doing more content, showing what we can do, showing stuff that we observe, and trying to do the test ourselves and see what if they'd have done it this way. Would they have saved money this way? What if we have done it that way? Able to
Mm.
do simulation, let people see for themselves, and from there that they know what these are the real experts. Because not only they're in the field, but they're also showcasing their talent and they're teaching things that never been taught in classes.
Oh yeah. That I like that it's not something that you can take from a college university. It's real life, real simulations, things that are up to date, not just
Yeah,
like legacy stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna close out after these two questions.
Okay.
So tell me about an iconic moment in your work history, and tell me about the most humbling experience you've experienced in your work history.
Yeah, for me, right now, I would say the most iconic is passing the OSCP exam. It's a 24-hour hands-on exam. I found that, I mean, I have a lot of IT certifications, but that one was the most fulfilling certification because
Mhm.
it wasn't multiple choice. I couldn't guess. I had to really find a way to break into systems. And also, I had to write a very professional report to submit for grading. And I think that's the moment when I realized that maybe actually I know some stuff. Was
Nice.
I always had this idea. Maybe I'm just I'm still learning. Maybe I'm just in the infancy of my career. But being able to pull that exam off and also getting the recognition from my peers at work and everyone saying, "Hey, if you pass that certification, you know a thing or two, and you can actually speak with confidence on certain things." That was really helpful. The most humbling experience also has been just moving into cybersecurity and working with people who have been in the industry for a while. One thing that I really learned is that, which is what something that I hold dear to, is people who have been in the industry for a long time. They've seen things, they've experienced things, and when you are put in a team and you're working with people who have worked for a long time, some of them are very humble. You never know that they know a lot of things. And, younger people like ourselves who might show up with our egos thinking, hey, I know things too. But working with people with a lot of experience is very humbling. You
Hmm.
realize that you have a long way to learn. You also learn that it's not a race. You just have to be consistent in your learning as long as you don't stagnate and you are always motivated to learn. With time, things get better and you know things. So I've been
Yeah,
humbled by working with very experienced people, learning from them, listening from them, and showing them what I know, but also knowing that with a lot of experience and time in the industry, regardless of which industry, people know things, and there's something to be said about that, which is very
nice.
humbling for people who are new to any industry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, so I always tell my mentees that when you show up to work, you might know certain things that people don't know, but if you can be very humble and exercise a lot of humility in knowing that people that have been in that company have a lot to teach you that you might not know, even though you might know one or two newer technologies or things that they might not be exposed to. So,
That's
and it's
good.
something that yeah.
That's good. Um, so we're gonna allow you. Got any questions, or you good?
I don't have any more questions because the answer you gave is something that would need to be heard because based on your experience, based on your certification, that's like a not a plateau. It's a level that open your eye to what you can do, what you can go further in. Because people need to understand work, hard work, and consistency do pay off. It does.
Yeah.
And when you mention working with people who have a lot of experience, who are very humble, Marvin and I would tell you we have one guy we call him the wizard at UBS,
Mm.
who graduated at dead PT with a heart that literally died. That's like throughout the PD, he found a way to not only take apart the hard drive, got it up and running and able to back the data. Now you don't see that on an everyday thing in the IT for
Mm.
like how will you do such a thing? You must have known. So I think, you know what, I'm gonna be around this guy. I wanna
Yeah.
pick his brain. I'll get
Mm.
all his knowledge because I ain't walk away from not getting more than enough because when you find people like that, not only motivate you, it inspire you, it
Mm.
keep you on your toes. I remember my mom would tell you he picked on me a lot. That guy, maybe Gabriel. He
Yeah.
always loved to pick on me. He's a Latino, but he did it for a good reason because he saw that I was trying to catch up and he thought, oh, you think you're gonna keep up with me? I'm gonna pick on you. And every time he pick on me, Marvel would be laughing, other people would be laughing, he would be testing me, and I try to get on my head. And he was like, man, you too slow. I'm like, but no. You're not fast enough. You're not I'm like, okay, whatever. Whatever. I will get better. But what he did, he helped me to be a better tech
Mm.
in the long run because what you was doing, he saw that I want to learn. When you find people who have way more experience than you and you under them and you try to learn everything, not
Yeah.
only should they show you the respect, they see the hunger in you. They, you know what? I want to have you under my wing. I want to make sure you're a better tech than you are before. So
Exactly.
that when I'm not around and
Mm.
you take over my spot and you about to supersede me, I want them to know that I taught you and I trained to make you better.
Yes.
And that is needed. Because you're right. There's some people who don't have much experience. They come around looking like, and me and Marvin, you just have that funny thing. We just look at them, we try to make it a bet. How long will it take for him to crash?
Yeah. Right.
We try
Yeah.
predicted. I would say maybe I give him 3 months. Marvin, said, nah. Give him 2 months, 2 and a. Give him 1 month. You will feel the pressure. I think let's give him a little leeway. I said let's give him 3 months. I want 3 month time because when he realized how bad it is, then he will bring himself down to earth and start acting like he knows everything. 'Cause nobody know everything.
No.
Nope.
That's the
Nope.
thing. We see this environment time and time. When you have the best team where everybody know how to work well with each other, you don't have to say much. You get that I think that everybody pick up on it to what to do and just keep it and make the job easier and more fun to be around. Me and
Exactly.
Marvin, we're all trying to look for that right environment whereby you feel comfortable. You don't have to be lazy, but it keeps you on your P's and Q's and you're always learning new things as you go. Sometimes you gotta be a little competitive.
Mm.
Sometimes. And I'll tell you, Marvin will know I'm more than competitive. I test my team. And
Yeah,
Marvin
there's
will tell you,
nothing wrong with good competition, man.
I made sure
Exactly.
my team was the best team, and I would tell you how many times my team be winning the competition, and I be asking how don't worry about what I do. You focus on your skills. I'll focus on mine. But I make sure my team are effective and efficient. That's a two key factor. One, you got to be effective. One, you got to be efficient. If you're not efficient, if you don't think fast on your feet, it will be a problem because we in the field that we have to be fast on our feet. There's no time to wait. Every time, every minute, every second, it costs the company money. And they're looking at you and see how quick you resolve the problem quickly and keep it up and running. You're a
Mm.
cybersecurity expert. You know that very well. Take that's what the kid that take a 24-hour test. That's the first time me hearing that. I'm like, damn, how much Starbucks do you drink? How much Red Bull you taking in? Like, you have to be
Red
alert.
Bull. Yeah. It was really, yeah.
What?
You see. Yeah.
That's not a joke. Their position, people have to stay up 12 hours straight, monitor the system. When something happens, you gotta be on your P's and Q's. So we get that, we understand that, but it all leads to the burnout part that we did a series about, and we had a nurse, man, I call her big sister. Her name is Candy Ann. She the real registered nurse, and she got on me bad because Marvin and my other guy Peter blew my spot and said what I was doing was not the right thing to do. But I'm a workhorse. What would we do? I believe in putting my best foot forward. Sometimes go too far, but we learn our mistake and learn how to be effective and efficient, not to kill ourselves too much, but do things in a way that it's less stressful, but more effective and efficient as well. So I'm glad
Yeah.
you mentioned that experience, because that experience not only teach you, you can take that experience and pass it on to the next generation, hoping that they don't have to go through what we have to go through,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
so they can learn from it. Me, when it comes to training people, that's easy. I don't know why, but it's easy. Marvin would tell you, "Oh, you need to go back on train that group." I was like, "Train who? They got free lead techs." Like, yeah, but they need you. I like, what? I'm not that special. Yeah, you are special. They know you know the hell. Marvin would tell you, he called my phone and blow my phone several time over. We're like, I know you don't like that, Alaya, but you might have to go back. Go back where? I thought everybody had the same way with me, but Marvin understand my experience and my level. He understands I'm needed for a particular position to make sure this is done properly, and I respect him for that because you know why? He knows who to call and who not to call.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm trying to dodge all the phone calls just for the sake of you leave me alone. Let me be in my own little zone. But I get it when people reach out. When they reach out to you, Howard, they say, Howard, we need you. Sometimes I'm in the mood. They'll be like, no, I'm not in the mood, but they need you because of your experience and your knowledge. Mama get blowed up. I can tell Mama get blowed at his company. He don't like to be bothered sometimes. He had that look whereby I am done. I am tired. I want to take a
Yeah.
mental break. Leave me alone. But they go bug him. Sometimes they might bribe him.
Hey, extra cash here, Marvin.
They're like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll buy you dinner on me. And Marvin, people like, I'm not that cheap, but I'll do it anyway.
Yeah.
Because they had that respect of your experience and your expertise. We need more of us out there so that not only we take this knowledge and experience we have, we can pass it to the next generation. So not only they can be better, we
Mm.
breed better techniques and better crop of people who can take over our spot and do a much better job.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Leaving that door open for the next generation, man. So that's what it comes down to.
It's
Yes.
a great conversation. I'm enjoying every bit of it because it allowed me to see people's mind and see where they at and who they are and how genuine you are. You, Howard, you are needed. Marvin
No,
spoke highly
I
about
think
yourself.
both of you in the platform that you have um, is definitely needed, especially that you approach the IT career with an objective mind and calling it what it is. I think that admitting that there are areas where people need improvement is important because certain podcasts, certain people that we meet out there, they will show up and they will create this perfect rosy world, which is like, hey, everything is good. Let's talk about the happy stuff. You are happy to talk about, the challenges that might, when people might have faced, or the happy
Yeah.
moments. And that objective approach to this is definitely something that I think is going to draw a lot of crowds to come and want to be part of the discussions and your comment sections as well. You'll notice people flocking there, asking more questions, wanting to be part of the discussions because you're opening up things that people really feel uncomfortable talking about. Was it might not result in YouTube monetizing too much, but it
Yeah.
results in people's lives, being saved and people actually getting help and or at least people's minds being opened if they're on the other side of the same discussions.
Okay.
But your channel is more needed. Trust me, because Marvin speak highly of you. He did. He was like, yo, this guy is really good. Where
Yeah,
Marvin was
because
speaking you out,
I
he was
saw your
amazed.
stuff and I was like, yeah, I wanna interview him and just want to talk to him. Get him into our little network of people. So
Yeah, the funny I think about a month ago, I spoke to another gentleman. He's called Techno Team. He's another YouTuber. He does more on automation and
yeah,
infrastructure stuff. And I was part of his lab series. And one of the things of the people that he also included on his like 100,000 subscriber video, is the idea of consistency. I think we've mentioned this one earlier.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, because one thing that most of my students from University of Minnesota or even just from YouTube is people want this now. It's almost like there's a lack of respect for the craft and how long it takes to get there, and knowing that
Yeah,
as long as you're consistent and you remain focused with a mentor, like you mentioned earlier, someone who you can bounce ideas off, make sure that you're still going in the right path, you get better. It might not be tomorrow, but as long as you remain consistent. The worst thing that I wish I did once is just jump in and try to learn it all, then get burnt out in a month, then never learn it at all. That's why I
yeah,
think
yeah,
channels and also just platforms like yours and my channel and everybody else give people a consistent dose of knowledge every week or every month. That way, we keep growing, which is
yeah.
awesome.
All right, Howard, it was a pleasure interviewing you. Thank you for coming on the podcast. And definitely, we're going to collaborate, do some work together, and I'll
Yeah,
email you. Yeah.
thank you very much to both of you, and I'm really looking forward to your platform growing. And if there's anything I can do to be part of the discussions, was I think what you are doing is awesome, and I'm definitely going to be somebody who's going to be listening every week and following along with everything that you'll be working on.
No, it was a pleasure having you, man. Thank you.
Awesome.
Definitely keep up the good work. Keep going after those trolls on Twitter. And
Oh,
No,
yeah, man,
no,
I see you guys.
we need a help on YouTube side now. We need that help because they're attacking all the black YouTube
uh,
channels who are doing well.
yeah, actually, I was going to say once in a while, I don't have a big YouTube channel. There's a what 32,000 people on my channel, but one of these series that I might have is I really, if possible.